Okay, introduce yourself for those who might not know who you are.
Hey, I'm Yourz-TC5, Chaos Inc., Brooklyn writer.
Okay, let's jump into it. What borough or neighborhood are you from?
Well, originally well, I was born in East New York, and it's around five, anywhere between 5 and 7 years old. I moved into Brownsville, grew up in Tilden Projects.
Okay, when did you first start noticing graffiti?
That's a good question. Um, well, I went to school although I moved from East New York, I still and moved to Brownsville. I still went to school there. So I went to PS 190, and to get home, I would have to catch the train. At that time, it was the two, so we catch the from Pennsylvania Avenue to Junior Street or Rockaway. So I'd noticed graph then, but more importantly, the building that I grew up in, 315, was actually lined up my bedroom with the L. So I noticed it rolling through there. So it was a couple of places I would definitely see graph and like, what is this? And trying to, read it or what have you, but started getting intrigued with it at that point.
Okay, who were some of the artists that you seen up at the time?
Oh boy. So many. I remember Spin, Delta, Sharp, Webb, just a boatload of Dondi. I mean, just so many different writers. Yeah, because everything, literally, my window was lined up with the L. So I just would sit there on my bed and just watch it like just roll past. So it was actually pretty cool.
All right, or those are the writers that inspired you to do graffiti?
Yeah, they were. Scheme. He was actually one of the guys too. And it's like, oh man, how do these guys do this? So yeah, they inspired me. I wasn't sure how it was done, but it was something that I knew I wanted to do or figure out how it was done.
Okay, what year did you start writing in?
Officially writing or so this had to be 80, so probably around 80 I started like doing little street bombing, hitting, taking tags in the buildings, things like that. It wasn't until 83, 84, that's when, I really started, learning and doing things on the line.
Okay, how did you come up with the name YZ?
That's a funny question. That was actually given to me by Webb. I have no idea. To this day, I really don't know where he got that name from. It's really funny. We were just talking one day, and that name came up, and it stuck.
Okay, have you always wrote YZ, or do you have any like aliases?
No, I didn't. It's so funny. One of my original names was JVC. And it's crazy because I remember that was the first piece that I had ever done. And it's a cheap black, some cheap black, hardware store paint. And it was actually in a building in the hallway. No fill, just an outline. Oh my God, it was horrible. But the one thing that was so cool, and this was, because people were, just starting to do mugs. So it was like this big character. He had like the big goggles and a giant afro. Yeah, but JVC, that was, my first name. And I've had a couple other names. Charger 119 is another one. But whew, that was entirely too big to be doing. That's funny.
Okay, who was the first writer you met when you first started out, and how did y'all meet?
Ooh, the first writer that I met, his name was, actually got me really introduced, connected in. His name was Cracer, CLK. I was still trying to figure, I was going to Alexander Hamilton, and I was trying to, we were in class actually, and I was sitting there doodling my book actually. I was sitting there doodling my book, and I didn't even know this guy. And I happened to peer over, and he was scribbling too. He was doing little block, style piece or whatever. And I caught notice of that. So I reached out to him and was like, "Hey, what are you doing there?" And we just struck up a conversation. And from that, found out that he actually wrote, and he actually, again, we were in the same math class, and he invited me over to his crib. He was like, "Yo, I got a bunch of writers coming over to hang out at my house. You want to come hang out tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." He's like, and this dude Webb, he's gonna be there too, and I had never met Webb, but I had seen him up, and I was like, "No way!" This was like the first writer. So it's like, all right, cool. So went to his house, and that's where it all started. Man.
Okay, I assume you was in high school when you first started. So what school did you go to, and were there any other artists that went to the school with you?
Now, the only person that I know, well, again, I went to Alexander Hamilton, and the only writer that I knew there was Cracer, CLK. That was the only guy I knew. Yeah, he was the only guy. I don't think there were many people that wrote there, and if there were, I wasn't, aware of them.
Okay, what was the first crew that you was in?
Chaos. Chaos, yeah.
All right, what other crews are you in or have you represented?
Oh boy. Chaos. Who else? Oh, BC Bad Company, Strider's Crew. What else? Well, that's TC5, of course. What is this? Those are the ones that I really, pay attention to and pushed, during my time. There's other crews that, it's funny how it works, that I was put down in years ago, but then at one point I stopped writing for a while, and then I'm like, wait a minute, you know what? How do I track down and prove that I was down, with these crews? So I said, you know what? I'm like a non-confrontational guy with this stuff because a lot of it is political and it's just unnecessary drama sometimes. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not pushing any crews except for the ones that, the person who's in charge of that crew, the president, vice president, whoever, I can directly correlate back to this, definitively say that person. So if I was put down in some other crew and it was by way of someone else, because there are so many situations where people were getting put down and then you found out that the person that put you down didn't even have the authority to put you down. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going through that drama.
Okay, how did you come up with your style, and did anyone influence your style early on, or were you self-taught?
No, not self-taught. Oh my God, I was horrible. I was horrible. Oh my God. And it's so amazing because to this day, I'm still evolving and trying to, figure out what I want to do, how I want to do. I keep mentioning Webb because, he's been a really big influence. He's my best friend. I've known him since I've known this dude like 40 years, and from the first day we met, we just kicked it off, and he started out, man, here's an outline, practice that, or just looking at the things that I had done, it was like, nah, dude, that's not, but persistence, practice, and it's really funny because for a long time, you start to master the the lettering and the flow and these certain things, and then that didn't even work out well because then it was a long time. People were like, "Yo, you got to get from underneath that dude's shadow, man. Yo." And then, oh my God, I remember he's like, "Oh, that's Baby Webb right there." I'm like, "No!" So it was a pain in the neck, And so I really focused on, trying to get past that, evolve and make it my own.
Okay. So did you ever go to the writer's bench at 149th Street? And did you have any memories at being at the bench?
It's so funny. I was, like I said, I was a Brooklyn dude, so I had no reason to go up there. And, a lot of the cars that I had done, or did, I should say, were on the letter line. So it was like, so I heard about the bench and, via work, because I was a messenger for a long time. A walking messenger, bike messenger, I'd go up there sometimes, and I'd peek, see if anybody was up there, but hanging out, nah. And looking at it in hindsight, I say to myself, I missed a great opportunity there because as I've gotten older and started painting again and meeting all these guys, it's like, wow, some of these dudes are like really cool. And so from our perspective, it's an opportunity missed, but, I try to take advantage of it now and, meet up with these guys and talk to them, and share it and kind of, sharing that experience, so.
Okay. All right. Well, the next question is, what lines did you write on and did you king any?
Nah, I didn't king any, nah. But that's, like I said, I was really modest, So the 2s, 3s, a lot of BMTs because we used to hit a spot in Brooklyn, and it would, you would do it there, and it would switch lines. So it'd be on the L's, it'd be on the J's, double R's. So we did a lot of insides and things like that, but most of the time was doing like top to bottoms, window downs and things like that. Sometimes nice, simple style, block styles. Every once in a while, we'd get together and do like a phenomenal car. But again, they weren't on the the IRTs, more on the BMTs. So I look at it now like, because no one was really paying attention to those lines. And I'm like, man, even if I had the pictures, because I don't have pictures, it's like, hurts my nerves. Or the pictures I did have, they faded off into obscurity somehow. It's crazy. Who knew, right? Who knew that, at this age, you'd be like, man, I wish I still had them damn pictures.
Okay, what would you say was your peak years on the subway?
Oh boy, I think the best year I had was probably '83 because I did a lot of cars in '83. That was like the heat. And then after, to tell you a funny story, you'll appreciate this. '83 was a really good year. I was doing a lot of cars. And somehow I started, as my mother would say, started getting out of control, right? And what ended up happening is that she recognized this, and she tells me, "Listen, you're acting up. You're going home." I'm like, "What do you mean going home?" And I was like, "I'm home now." She's like, "Nah, buddy, you're not home." And shipped me off, shipped me out of the country, kicked me out of the country, so that was a funny thing. And when I got back, I was like so upset because I, bumped into Doc and Webb and those guys. They were like, "Yo, you missed it." And I'm like, "The hell you missed? What the hell you thinking about? What I missed?" They were like, "Yo, we destroyed this summer." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I was like, "Yo, let's go." Just like, "Nah, man." And typical Doc is like, "Nah, man. You missed it." I'm like, come on. Man, it's funny. It's funny.
All right. Did you have a favorite color or brand to paint with back in the day?
Oh well, the typical paint, Krylon was, you know, you know, what we, I enjoyed. I love the smell of it. It's just so crazy. I remember, again, as a messenger sometimes, I'd be on the train and, passing a layup, and I'm like, that's Krylon. Somebody's behind that wall painting. But Red Devil, Wet Look, but, most of the time, Krylon, because Rust-Oleum was good, but oh my God, you come out all damn, like damn, you got like 3 cans of roach spray on your hand or some butter to get that crap off.
All right. What were some of your favorite layups to hit back in the days?
Let's see. Like Bergen, Kingston, those I like those two. Those were pretty cool, because although we got chased out of there many days, oh my God. So yeah, I like those two. Those were pretty cool. City Hall, that was kind of cool too. And New Lots, of course, New Lots. That was a great yard to go in. Although I lost many things, I had nice. Oh my God, I had this really nice jacket. Oh, nice. I don't know what the hell made me think about wearing it that particular day. We were going to just do throw ups and bag of paint. We're like, yo, we're just gonna go, go in there, hit a line real quick, come back. I'm like, all right, cool. And ended up having to run out of there, freaking cops all over the place. And of course it was hot. And I took my badge. I took it off and put it in the bag. Gone. Paint gone, jacket gone. Sucks.
Okay, how did you get involved with TC5, and who did you meet, and how did you get put down with the 5?
So, and let me try to remember this. This is a funny story. So, I remember it was Doc, Webb. Who else was there that night? I think some cats from the island, Staten Island, like VO5, I believe they were there too. We were doing some burners, and I never forget. I remember Doc and Webb was behind me. And I think I had met Doc, I think maybe twice before that, or once or twice, or whatever the case may be. And I hear him behind me, and he's like, "Yo, your boy pretty cool, man." He's like, "Yo, he got some. He's pretty good with some with the colors. I like them blends, man." He's like, "Yo, tell that brother he can put up the 5." I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there, that Webb comes over. He's like, "What's up?" He's like, "You down?" I was like, all right. But now I have to tell you the other story. So what ends up happening? This is years and years later. So we had a beach party, hanging out, right? It was Doc, Webb, Beam, Scene, Avon, just the whole crew was there. Oh my, staff. Oh my God! So we were hanging out at the beach, and they were talking about people being put down but never initiated. I'm like, initiated? Who the hell? So they're talking about what they had did to people in the past. They were like, yo, we never really officially initiate YZ. I'm like, really? They're like, yo, you got to get initiated. I'm like, are you kidding me? So the way they initiated me, which is a pain in the ass, really. We're on the beach, and oh my God, the water's like way down there, and they're like, yo, to be down, you got to walk on your knees, your hands and your knees, from where we are into the water. That's it. And I'm like, all right, that's not so bad. It's hot, but I can deal with that. Yo. So I'm strutting through there. Now these dudes get bananas. Now they're like kicking sand on me. They're pouring liquor on me, pouring beer. Doc is sitting there going, yo, man, yo, check it out. It'd be so much easy, man. It ain't worth it. Yo, you should just quit, man. Like, hazing me or whatnot. I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's like sand. And I'm just like, ah. So I had to go run through the TC5 gauntlet. And that's how I officially, was initiated. Oh my God, it was crazy. It's crazy. It's funny.
Okay, I know you have a lot of good stories stored up. Tell me your favorite chase story and who were you with?
Uh, favorite chase story. Okay, so there was a day Webb and I were hanging out and we were trying to figure out, we wanted to do something and we had no idea what we were going to do. And we ended up hooking up with Strider from BC. And the Strider
What's BT?
Bad Company, Trick, a bunch of those dudes. We're hanging out. We're like, yo, where are we gonna make? So we did some pieces on on his roof, actually, Strider's roof, and then it was like, yo, man, we got to go do something. So we ended up going to. I can't. Where the hell did we go? We went one place. I can't remember what layup that was, and there was nothing in there. It was nothing. It was just like, oh man. It's like, okay, where do we go? It's like, yo, let's go to City Hall. So we get to City Hall, and we're like, all right, cool. So, these dudes had to go take a leak, and they were like, all right, so they go, and like you're in the station, and there's like, a bathroom there. So they go in the bathroom, so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, leaning up against the train like this. And I just feel something. I see this light, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is that? And I turn around, and it's this light, this guy like pops up out of the seat with this flashlight on the other side. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, yo, there's somebody in the car, run. So we all just take off. So we run down the tracks, so we get to the hatch. So these dudes had left some paint, because I had mine like on my shoulder, because so they ended up walking back, and it's like, yo, I left my paint. Nah, man. Check it out. They picked up a work bump pad. I was like, yo, I'm busting this dude's ass so we can get this paint back. So they ended up going down there, and I'm sitting up in the hatch because, with this paint. But of course, they never got the paint back. There was another time we were in Bergen, and we were crazy, because we're so accustomed to going there. So we had Chinese food, we had sandwiches and whatnot. And again, sitting down in the car, we do it insides. Next you know, look through the door swing open, there's a dude standing right there, probably a motorman or something. We're just like, yo, get the hell out of here. So we run through the cars and whatnot. And it was crazy, because that day, I remember running through the cars, and then squeezed in between, and then jumped down on the tracks. As I'm jumping down on the tracks, I like land the wrong way, and I feel like I was like, what the fuck was that? And the minute I felt that, like, this dude JE3 like just lands on me, and like boom, and like bumps me into the wall. So I'm like sitting there like on the floor next to the catwalk, and I see him running through, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck was that? And then I sat there for a second. I'm like, yo, did I just hit the fucking rail? I'm like, I don't know, man, but this shit was fucked up. And then I just got up and just started running. Oh my God. And then and just before I ran, the dude was like, like sitting between the cars looking down at me. That shit was crazy. To this day, you cannot tell me that I didn't land on the fucking third rail. And the only reason that I didn't get toasted is because the minute I hit it, JE3 landed on me and pushed me to the side and then took off. It was crazy.
All right. Did you have any rivalries or battles back in the day, and who pushed you to your limits as a writer?
I'm sorry, what was that question again? I'm sorry, my bad.
Did you have any rivalries or battles back in the day, and who pushed you to your limits as a writer?
Nah, I never had any robberies, And Doc, of course. Doc has always been that dude, like, yo, where's your P-Funk? Yo, that's always pushing. And I'd push myself too, because I recognize the guys that that I was with, and they all inspired me, because they, were just, a lot more veteran than me, you know, and I appreciated it, you know, just the opportunity of hanging out with them and learning, you know.
Okay. In recent years, they had the TC5 versus TMT battles. What was your thoughts on that, and who do you think was victorious?
Well, let's see. Well, of course, I'm biased. TC5 won. This period. I'm not going against girls. Sorry. I thought it was interesting. They pulled off a lot of cars, you know. But at the same token, I think that from inception toward the end, it got a little skewed. It got a little personal. It got kind of, and I guess that's why I'm the way I am, because I know that a lot of times things start off really well and then get skewed, and then you end up with animosity and things like that, and that's not the ballpark I play in. We're gonna if people are gonna battle, or challenge each other, and it should be a friendly competition and adheres to the rules, So I think in the inception of that, I thought it was really cool, and I wished it worked out really well, because I know that when it was being posted, it drew a lot of attention to the culture, and I think that's very important, because a lot of it's being lost or being pushed and manipulated, and and sometimes not in a good way. So anything that we can do to really foster it in a positive light and have that competitive ness between people and crews like it used to be, because oh my God, I remember something that Doc had said to me, which is really funny. I think we were at Art Basel painting, and I asked him, I was like, dude, are we doing a theme? He's like, theme? Man, let me tell you something. We a battle crew. We don't do no damn thing. He's like, yo, if I even see you doing the same color as somebody else, he's like, yo, I'm crossing everybody out. But it's like, that's the key. Battling crew, and that friendly competition is the thing that's going to keep you sharp and growing and evolving to be, a better writer, a better artist, to a certain degree.
Okay, we touched on a lot today. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to cover?
No, I think the one thing that I just spoke about, I think that's the key. I look at a lot of people. I know a lot of people. A lot of people know me. A lot of people don't know me. But the one thing that I always push for is growth. I know some cats, they're stuck in the 80s, with that whole mentality, and I get it to a certain degree, but we're not in that time anymore. We're global. Who knew at this time that this culture would be a global event? Python and War and a couple other people like Steph and Unique, we travel and we go to London, we go to Barcelona, we paint, we have fun, and as we continue on, we have more and more people, like Merck and, just so many other people, and it's, it's a phenomenon, and, just to keep it going and keep growing it, because from my perspective, we're a big family and we're doing this thing in concert. Just keep the history legitimate, and keep moving forward and building it and making sure that people recognize, the origin and the people that are, the foundational people that have, put a lot of things in place so that, we were able to do this and still doing it at 50. I think that's the most important thing,
Okay. Any last word or shout outs to family members or friends?
Shout out to all you writers out there. Like, listen, just, keep up your craft and do what you do, and hopefully at some point I get to meet as many of you as possible, but again, keep it positive. That's it. That's the key element. You know, that doesn't mean you don't be competitive, because always battle. Because that's what's gonna keep you sharp. That's it.
All right. Thanks for the interview. YZ.
Yeah,
Peace.
YZ, Yourz, TC5.